chapter 15 up of One More Thing, Ed Milet. Man, I'm finally feeling better after the surgery earlier this week. Things are going better. So excited to be here with you and excited to dive into this content because we were discussing it earlier today without even knowing that this was the content. That was this concept of leadership. And so we're really going to dive deep on this today, obviously right out of the chapter as well as what we have, because each and every one of you, as the content says, is already a leader. Whether it's in your family, whether it's in your friend group, whether you coach, lead, train, teach, you still are leading at some point. And our goal here is to continue to plus that. And the reason we were discussing it today is I was sharing with Don Hobbs, one of our great leaders, how cool it is that you guys are creating these activities behind the scenes, that you're collaborating behind the scenes, that you're helping each other and holding each other accountable behind the scenes. Been some really neat stuff happening without Don's involvement, without my involvement, that you guys are taking lead on making happen. And so I definitely want to celebrate that today, as well as always get into the content, what you guys pulled away here on a Friday. And I'm going to go, you know what? I'm optimistic we have two radically different takeaways because I have Doug first and Jeanette second. What do you two have?
Well, leadership, as you say, is I think it really has a lot to do with what he's talking about is you have to have a dream. At some point, you're going to, in your soul, it's going to come out of you who you really are. And when you take hold of that dream and you start to lead that dream, your life will change. And I think that's a key element in here. I love the idea about the different gifts that people are born with and things like that. But boy, the dream is such a big deal. And I know we talk about that a lot. And Jeanette and I are continuing to build the vision that we have. So that makes this whole business really exciting.
Well, and I want to just leverage this a little here, Doug, because he doesn't just say a dream. It's got to be a big dream.
Big dream.
It's got to be
Yes.
a hairy, audacious dream. And it's got to be something that includes others, that you are dreaming bigger for them than they are for themselves.
Yep.
That you can see in them their future more than they can right now with the baggage that they have picked up along their life, the no's they'll learn, the realism they picked up, which really doesn't serve them to dream big. I mean, man, when we were little kids, there was nothing outside of our scope of dreaming. And to get back there as adults is such a gift. And then most importantly, as he says, get others in. So he doesn't just say you have to have a big dream. You've got to be selling that big dream. You've got to be sharing that and inspiring others to come along on the journey. And then the last thing, which he doesn't put in here, that I'm gonna be adding some nuggets today from my other training, that you make it then about them. You keep making it about all those others. So when you're serving clients, the big dream is about where they're going next if they're selling, even if they can't see it, or for the buyer, how that home is going to serve them and their family. In every step, you have an opportunity to dream big, and make it about them. Jeanette, what's your takeaway?
Well, it's a lot of the same. If you want to lift someone else, if you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. So, if you're having a bad day, forget about your day and go work with someone else. That's just a side comment. Go help somebody else, because you get your eyes off yourself. And gratitude is a gift from God. You cannot stay depressed when you're grateful. And I am grateful. And even when you're struggling, there's still a place for gratitude. And the things that come out that you're grateful for are, anyway, I'm not even getting to what I was trying to talk about yet. So you're a one more leader if you help people do things they would not otherwise accomplish without your presence. Well, that's all of us in here right now. We're going to places that we wouldn't have gone to otherwise because, well, because of Dawn and Russ, and each of us has our own place, and we want to get there because we are already a leader. And then leadership is a learned trait. Is really huge. That's what we're doing here. We're learning how to be leaders. But the beauty of this is we each have our own calling. Call it a dream, but take that dream and turn it into a calling and let that pull be on your heart. Take that time. Doc and I have been developing this part of our vision for 20 years now. It just, and it's 7 years. Oh, it's 7 years ago that we got the 1,000 debt-free legacy building world-changing millionaires. And it's like, how do we do that? Well, we did a little bit, and we didn't really go any further. And God's made that bigger. And to now it's debt-free, destiny igniting, legacy building, world changers. So, and this morning, that was my time this morning, is like, okay, God, how do you do this? And how does this fit with real estate? Because people's homes are part of what they're doing. What is it that is your part? Because we shouldn't try to be each other, but the skills that we do it with, we do share. So we can build each other up in our skills while we apply them, because we get to be who we are because of each other. None of us would be here right now if it weren't for each other. So we didn't quit. We're bringing others in. Some are going in, some are out because they, different parts of their life change. Anyway, that's enough for me. It's awesome. I'm so excited.
It's been a lot of fun, Jeanette, to be in your world as I have been this last 3.5 years, watching you guys continue to evolve and grow, because that big dream includes service. It has to. You guys have such a heart for service, such a heart for giving, and to see it continue to grow in this space is just an absolute joy. I'm looking at the chat as well as looking at the microphones. Come on, folks. Chris, don't just be throwing it up there behind the scenes. Bring it up live. I got mics hot. Let's go through them real quick. I see Andres and Celeste. 1, 2, 3.
Just a quick quote I heard there. I was listening to the book on my way home. And it's when an executive walks into the office or have any members walk into the office, all they want to see is that the person loves, care, believe, and show him or her how to live a better life. As a leader, that's a fundamental thing, to have your team believe it in you. And we have that in this room. I think we all have seen that. Coach Ross, Don, they care and put us all in a better position in our lives and in our business. So I'm grateful to have that from you guys and everyone around here. So,
well, and there you go again, tying back what Jeanette said about this gift from God of gratitude. It is an absolute game changer, and I truly appreciate being in partnership with you, and I'm grateful that we're doing this work together, Andres. And you're next up.
That was lovely, Andres. I'm going to tie back into what Jeanette was saying with the quote. I'm going to extend it a little bit. You're one more leader if you help people do things they would not otherwise accomplish without your presence. And he says, if you can't do that as a leader, there is no need for you. And what flashed in my head was, you just haven't found your path yet. If you can't help people otherwise accomplish things that you're going to help them do things that they couldn't do without you, you don't know your path yet. That's your path. And as Jeanette would have said, that's your calling. So.
Excellent. And so if you're not there yet, like Anne's saying, you just get to keep searching, playing, testing. What I love about, this whole goal setting process we're going through right now as we wrap up 2024 and head into 2025, man, you're not a tree. So pick a path, test it, play with it. If it doesn't fit, you get to change. You get to make a shift. Celeste, you're up, my dear. And then
Gosh.
Carrie, you're next.
All of you guys have said and written such interesting and powerful things. My feeling right now is, excuse me, I've been having a cough moment. When I'm in this room, I'm enjoying seeing how each of us have a certain special skill set. And each time you speak, whether you're aware of it or not, you could be in that moment when you're speaking, you're the leader for someone who may not have heard that before. And I love the fact that I'll give my example of being a mentor. I've been doing this for a long time, this business of real estate. I've been doing it for 35 years. Before that, I was in sales, hardcore sales. What I know is that when I speak, my wish is to share all of that good stuff so that I'm lifting up those that are listening to me. And my example would be my session yesterday. I was so thankful that Jeanette thought enough to bring her people into that meeting so that they could listen as to how they could better their own businesses. And whether or not someone is hearing what I'm saying and they've heard it before, there was enough stuff in there. There's no question they had to have learned something. And that's what I love about what I get to do. And each of us has that gift. We all bring a nugget that gives someone else that value. I wish I could put it in better words. But even when Chris was talking about his definition of leadership, to me, I think that's the reason why I keep showing up here. Because every day I get something.
Well, I appreciate you absolutely being here. And yes, I love Chris's definition there, and I can't wait to hear him talk a little more about it. And I will just add one other thing about this leadership piece. You know how you know that you're a leader. There's one absolute defining characteristic. You have followers. Right?
True.
Can't lead without other people actually choosing to follow you. So, by the way, one of the massive differences that I see in a lot of places right now around us, there are leaders and there are managers, and they are dramatically different. Leaders have followers. They will go into battle with them. Managers call themselves leaders because they have a title, because they have authority, because they have power. And yet they really aren't leaders. And the moment something goes awry, the people that are, quote, following them by force are gone like that. So I'm looking for you guys to keep building yourselves as amazing leaders that people are inspired to follow. Chris, then Julianne, and Jeanette, I've got you in the wings.
Well, you said it, Russ. I mean, it's there's a great quote, and I don't know if you guys have read the books by Andy Andrews. Andy is a keynote speaker. He is a New York Times bestselling author. I've been reading his books for years, and some of the best two books he's written is on the Noticer and the Noticer Returns. Those are two books, and it's his lifelong story of how he grew up under the Gulf Pier down in Alabama and was homeless after his parents died, and was raised and had this man come and be a mentor in his life and really come alongside him. And he taught him all these principles. And he writes about him in this book. But a lot of these quotes, like this definition of leadership, has come from one of his books. And that's a follow-up question that we should ask ourselves every single day. How would a steady, calm presence of leadership bring more talented and skilled people to the table? If we're truly serving others, if we're living a life of servant leadership, it's like don't focus on becoming a great leader. Focus on becoming someone worth following. Like Russ was saying, it's a daily grind. We're always getting better at our craft. We all have something. We had a great group in our Larry Kendall workshop. Jeanette, Doug, y'all were there. And I just shared with the group. I said, guys, all of you have something unique. God has made you super unique in some capacity, and you want to become so good at that. You want to become so great at that, and that will have something attached to it that will attract many. And one of the things that I've always been gifted is I've always been able to connect with people. I'm just a connector. I'm a genuine connector, and I get that from my parents. And so, there is a great need right now because we're seeing a significant decline in just people's ability to connect with people. Like, how do we shake hands? Do we smile? What's customer? I mean, there's just so many different struggles right now in the world of just human connection. And so, leadership is just one of those things. It's a daily work on ourselves. It's just becoming someone worth following. And I love this chapter, Russ. It's a great chapter, and I enjoy being here every morning with you guys. Thanks, brother.
Hey, you got it. It is a joy to have you here now, plugging in, leaning in. It's kind of interesting. Again, it's another leadership piece. That when it comes to your awareness, we all have blind spots, man. And Lord knows I got my collection of them. And probably the biggest one is just driving for success and driving all of you for success. And sometimes maybe once or twice, the empathy piece gets missing. And so Chris and I had one of those moments. It came to my attention. And as a leader, you've got to own those. That's another part of leadership, is that vulnerability, that authenticity, and owning your crap. I mean, it was so amazing, the conversations right now around the political world, where almost all of them will never admit when they've made a mistake in the past, when they've changed their position. And yet this was an opportunity for me to reach out to Chris with authenticity and humility, apologize for what occurred and historically has occurred, re-invite him here. And dude, I am so pleased with the relationship that you and I are now building, and the collaboration we have in our future is going to be a lot of fun.
You bet.
Appreciate you. All right, Julianne, you were next up.
All right. Strong work, guys. That's a really great testimony, actually, of how, strong men can be vulnerable. And it's beautiful to actually see this happening. My favorite part of this chapter was validating your leadership by setting the example. On page 197, remember, things in life are caught, not taught. And by this, he's leaning into people are going to learn a lot more in life by watching what you do rather than what they do simply because you teach them. And it's kind of like the old parent. Actually, I was talking to Carrie about this the other day, when parents say, do as I say, not as I do. And that's the surefire way to create a rebellious child. Because they look up to you and you're the natural leader to them. And if you're contradictory in your actions versus your words, you start chipping away at the trust. And the same will be with people who are part of your team. And it's really super important to hold yourself to the higher standard, as Sia says. It's essential when you're leading other people and you think that, oh, it's okay. I mean, I'm human. I'm allowed. As soon as you start telling yourself that self-talk, people can see that, they catch it, whether it's a shift in your body language, whether it's a shift, they see the inconsistency. And if you don't become vulnerable and explain and say, hey, I saw this in me too, and it doesn't serve me. And I just wanted to share with you that I saw it. And I know probably many of you saw it. And that would be a very hard thing to do. So, wow, what a tie-in.
Fantastic, Julianne. And that leaders lead by example. I mean, that's really what you're putting out there. It's not your teaching, training. That's all a part of it, yet actually showing up and doing the work side by side with the people, leading from the front rather than leading from the back.
Yeah, that
Go ahead.
Oh, I said that reminded me. I had told Celeste yesterday, you guys are going to get the honor of meeting somebody that I've known for over 20 years at your EXPCon. I just saw him. He was like, he said he's going to be a keynote speaker there, and he is a perfect example of actually this. He makes millions and millions and millions of dollars in his business every single year, residual income, but he still builds every single month. He is doing what he asks other people to do. He doesn't have to sell another Legal Shield plan the rest of his life. And he has a beautiful book that's called Building an Empire that he wrote specifically for people who are building teams. And it is, it's not specific to any one industry, and it's really great. That's a plug for Brian Carruthers.
Well, and I'm excited that we're going to be hearing him at EXPCon. Those of you that are going, have a great time. And it appears that I will now be going because I have a very, very dear friend from a previous company who I believe he is going to be showing up. So he is my guest, which means I'm showing up. So I'll be scrambling my calendar yet again to make that happen. And that's how we serve each other. Jeanette, I saw your mic hot as well.
Okay. Going into page 196, which is part of the section, is basic needs that drive us, but basic needs change over time. And you're young, you're a teenager, you're going through the stages of life. So your needs change over time and your focuses have to change. Somebody sees somebody who's doing a great book study. You with who are parents, you're here, but there's some days where I was like, you've got the kids calling you, whichever. It's part of the process that you get to go through, and it's part of developing your character. There's, even our mistakes, or what we think are our mistakes, are probably our greatest teachers and where we're going to get the most out of. And if you take life as a pendulum, and it's like, here's how you think you're created to be, and here's how God creates you. From the way I speak, you've got this, and you swing back and forth. But as we're swinging back and forth and going higher all the time, and we may do less swinging as we get further along, or maybe we don't do much swinging, then we do a bunch of big swings. But there's always the pendulum, and there's always the straight line that we know we keep coming back to. And because it's that thing that's in you that just won't let go, and you get to dare to believe it, because it's important. And in the things that Doug and I have done, the greatest things that we get joy over is helping somebody see that those things that they go, I knew that about myself. Yes, that's me. And to get to confirm that and get to say, yes, and here's the reason you get beat up in it all the time, because it's your gift. And if you take your gift and you do it, and you still have to learn as you're doing it, there's still things. But when you get on that path and you're learning your gift, look out, world.
Amen.
That's
Amen. When you're really leaning into what you were designed to do, magic happens. And so we've got to work. We got to discover that. We got to find those places. And some of you, by the way, may be in real estate, because that's what most of the room is, and yet not the gift. I mean, Doug's a great example. We're doing the work to fund the gift, which still provides the energy. So just know the work doesn't have to be the gift, yet the work funding the gift makes magic happen. Doug is an incredible teacher, trainer, leader in the spiritual space and doing some pretty cool, unique, fun stuff there. And I love watching that. We get the revenue going and he gets to do more of that. We get the systems and leverage going. You get to do more of that. This is all part of that growth journey. Now I see some of your fingers moving towards buttons. We got 2 minutes left. Who else has a nugget or two? Let's go. Go, Carrie.
There's a part in the book that says, because I put it away, I don't know, I think it's on 197 or something, that says, in being a leader and helping others, get to their basic needs or whatever, is not only meeting theirs, but then by default meeting yours. And I feel like I can totally relate to that. I love being a cheerleader. I am so happy when I see other people succeed and, do or say even the smallest things to get to where they need to be. Super exciting. Super, super exciting.
Yeah, I love that extra nugget there, Carrie, bringing in that we're also the cheerleaders. If you're a leader, you're celebrating other successes. And by the way, you also have the grace to toot your own horn as well and celebrate yours and share your successes. It's not all about them, and yet the main focus is on them almost always. So I want to let you know about this main focus being on you guys as we wrap up today. You want the replay of this. You want the replay to be able to share. RussCallio.com. If somebody will type my name who actually knows how to spell it, the last name, just so people's got it spelled right. You go there. A lot of these videos are showing up there. There's also a link to the YouTube page now. So yesterday's mindset morning should be in there. And here's the other key piece for all of you. If you spoke up and the AI thought that was awesome, there is a short or a reel that has been built for you. So the more you work in here, the more you're going to be magically creating content with my VA team, who is also leveraging AI to do it. And now you have those to help build your message and bring into your world. We all should be creating more content, and I'm building this automation for you. So get to RussCallio.com, click through to my YouTube page. We get enough people subscribing there. I can then create a unique URL for that as well. And that way you guys can all have access to this content. And I mean, I've probably got 500 hours of back video content that's going to be loaded in there for you guys. So lots of resources, lots of help. And I'd also love your feedback. Anything on the website or there that we need to tweak, change, update, nuggets you have. Don Hobbs gave me some great ones this morning. I'll absolutely be making those changes to help you guys.